Hi, my name is Jason Weisgerber, and welcome to the Enoughness sessions. I'm curious how your life has changed in terms of
Yeah.
like extraordinary experiences happening. Where you're experiencing maybe more spontaneity, spontaneous synchronicities that are happening.
Right, exactly.
So, Is there anything that feels like in your life it's happening more naturally, easily, meeting the right people, or
Right, exactly.
especially
Exactly.
now that you've really honed in on
Honed in.
who it is that you're teaching and what you're teaching.
Right, exactly. That's a good question, right? Because in this yoga world, we're kind of taught to recognize these things, or be open
Right.
to these things, and so there's lots of different opportunities that come up. I definitely feel like when I'm in my path, the doors open, whether it be for more senior, teaching gigs, that people are more receptive to that, as opposed to, when doors close for other things. Probably the biggest example happened when I started to do my yoga DVDs. That I was still consulting in software, and the project that I was working with at the time here in LA had ended, and there wasn't another project for me with this consulting group, so we decided to part ways. And but at the same time, I got an offer from the New York office to go back to New York and double my salary. But I decided to say no. It was really interesting, and
Wow.
at the same, I remember clearly, like that same day, like putting an ad up, on Craigslist and different sites for people who wanted to help create a yoga DVD, and I got an outpouring of talent, and so I just felt like it was a sign, like the doors just opened, like
Right.
this is your path, and that that I know my plan was just to create one yoga DVD, but then I ended up doing two because I had so much talent, and the next thing I knew, I was in, filming at the director's villa in Mexico on the Mayan Riviera, so
Sweet.
it was, totally, and
So you were able to, once you had made that decision, you were able to actually pretty quickly actually connect with, a pool of talent of filmmakers or camera people or
exactly.
people that knew how to produce a DVD for you.
Right,
And it all
exactly.
came together pretty sweetly.
Yeah,
And this is on the tail of actually turning down like a double your salary
right,
position,
exactly.
right?
Yeah,
So
totally.
that's got to be a little tricky. I mean, I actually find the same thing, that when I'm really making the full transition into this new level of fulfillment, I mean, when it came to talking more and more about enoughness and building the concept and really tapping into the actual experience of it for myself, and learning that this is the direction that I really want to go with my life. It didn't quite make sense necessarily financially or as a career path. I didn't really know, I didn't even have the foresight of what that could look like. But it was going on a feeling that I had tapped into from some of my background and going through depression, living through some post traumatic stress, some events that happened when I was really young.
Right.
And once I started to really move out of those places and discover this really real sense of fulfillment in myself, that was actually also developing talents and potentials that I didn't even know that I had or was interested in developing. Um, it was all about an experience, a feeling that I was having. It was this real sense of a new sense of fulfillment that was independent of circumstances, but that also allowed me to really, engage with circumstances in new ways. So, but in a similar way, once I started going more and more into this direction and creating this as a career path, I had other options and offerings that were coming up that were tempting, and it was hard to make a decision.
Right.
And I think that's kind of actually a sign,
Right.
again, about enoughness being this compass, this new sense of fulfillment for us,
Right.
where you were moving into. We're talking about extraordinary experiences or synchronicities when you decided the path that you wanted to go on. Why? For that greater sense of fulfillment. When you stepped in that direction, you had this big offering from this other world that was like, no, we can fulfill you.
Right.
And you're
totally.
like, even doubling it, I don't
Right.
think that's where I'm going.
Right. Exactly.
So then you got into really going in this path and ended up making, what were the DVDs? You have two or three DVDs out?
Right. Exactly. So I have two DVDs: Yoga for Families and Yoga for Grandparents.
Sweet.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Oh, that's cute.
Thank
Yep.
you.